cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul is awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place. Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and boys and girls. Welcome back to the Sovereign Soul Program, a show which stands for love, levity, and liberty, because after all, love is the greatest power everywhere, and laughter is the best medicine, especially covering serious topics in all matters, ancient, current, and quantum. It's a mantra, our mascot, the Bling Buddha. He fully subscribes to it as he fires red pills from his 9 mil. I am your host, Brad Wozni. I'm grateful to you, divine lions and lionesses, for tuning in and holding the line. I've always said, health is wealth. This is an adage that's been repeated and passed on generations after generations. Now, I have served my country at the federal level as a Canadian infantry soldier. I served at the provincial level as a wildfire ranger, jumping out of helicopters into burning forests to fight forest fires. I've been a part of the corporate rat race where shortly after 9/11, I was standing at ground zero as rescue efforts went on, and then I was at the Pentagon 72 hours later. I'm fortunate to become a Reiki master in 2015, and by leveraging the infinite source of the cosmic and our creator's power, I'm following my soul's purpose in this incarnation, which is to help uplift humanity's consciousness with song and story. With that stated, here's the show for you today on our weekly economic update, because holy smokes, it's almost like a Hollywood script has been written with what we're seeing this week in the last few weeks, where we're talking about the supply of silver bullion is literally about to run out. And we're going to get to that in a moment, where we also have the Ripple XRP lawsuit with the SEC, the one that the SEC placed on Ripple 2 years ago. Well, XRP, as settlement talks abound with the SEC. We've had James Valley, right, from Valhill Capital, Jimmy Valley, come on board. I'm going to show you a clip that just came out not even 60 minutes ago from the CEO of Ripple regarding why that crypto is starting to really boost up and raise, and we have seen a massive crash in the markets, as well as what's going on economically. Let me jump right into this right now, and we'll go to the most recent information on Ripple XRP. Here we go. All right, and here we are. Just watch the first 90 seconds of this.
The crypto XRP has been going parabolic over the last day or so. Look at it now, up 24%.
Now it's trading at 48 cents on a coin. A week ago, when I recorded this and posted this to everybody, it was at 34 cents. So it was 34 cents. It jumped to 48 cents already.
48 cents. As there are some developments in the legal battle between Ripple and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Here to discuss all of the latest.
Remember, I've been reporting on this for weeks on end since Jimmy Valley brought this to our attention, and he's been uncovering, along with the XRP community, the XRP army, pulling together open source information where it is showing that Director Hinman at the SEC, along with other officials, it looks like a lot of corruption has been going on at the SEC, that they filed against Ripple because they seem to be lining their pockets with Bitcoin and Ethereum and taking care of their partners at JPMorgan Chase and other places. Hey, I'm a sovereign soul. This is my opinion. I'm not an investment advisor. Heck, I would never want to be part of the FINRA. Again, that's an institution, and we are sovereign souls, and taking back our sovereignty, one of the ways is with a seventh dimensional coin, cryptocurrency, I believe is really going to help shepherd the way. XRP token. Listen to this.
Developments. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and our own Charlie Gasparino. Charlie.
Thank you.
Brad, good to see you.
Before we get into this, your continuing saga with the SEC, Jamie Dimon called crypto a decentralized Ponzi scheme yesterday before Congress.
Okay, we're going to go back actually to this comment in a few minutes. Now, what he said was Jamie Dimon, that is the CEO of JPMorgan Chase Bank. I mean, he's been the CEO since before the 2008 bank bailout crisis and all of that stuff, right? Jamie Dimon, let's play this again so you can hear it. Pay close attention to this, because we're also going to go to another clip of what's going on more corruption that is totally in the open with JP Morgan Chase in the crypto market. So playing this clip once again, listen carefully.
Diamond called crypto a decentralized Ponzi scheme yesterday before Congress.
So yesterday before U.S. Congress, what he's referring to is the Senate Banking Committee. The Jamie Dimon, the CEO, said crypto is a Ponzi scheme. Remember that. We're going to get back to that in a moment, folks. We'll continue with this.
I read that. Look, I think very notable people, including Jamie Dimon, have called it a fraud. Warren Buffett, I think, had some negative comments.
Right.
Look, I think we've reached a point where we know this industry is not going away. It's here to stay. You're talking about $1 trillion of value. And I think ultimately these things, as we've talked about here on the show before, are going to be measured by what utility, what problem are you solving? And so, for him to call it a Ponzi scheme, there's 50 million people here in the United States who have direct exposure to crypto that might disagree with him.
Well, let's get to XRP because the Twitterverse is going nuts over your appearance right now on Fox Business with Charlie. And XRP, of course, the native coin to the Ripple. Tell me exactly why you think that this jump in price is happening. What news can you give us?
Here we go.
It's hard to know. Honestly, I've watched crypto now. I've been in the business at Ripple for 7.5 years. I've been in crypto for about 9 years. And it's really hard to know. What I would point to is a couple things. Before the SEC got involved
With you guys,
with us
yeah.
and ETH, because again, there's two factors here. One, XRP was the second.
Yeah, what he's referring to is that 2018 comment that Director Hinman at the SEC did in a conference and said, we don't think Bitcoin and Ethereum are securities. So therefore, those cryptocurrencies are not securities. They don't fall under our wheelhouse. And we saw what happened 3 weeks ago, shared it here on the channel with that 2018 comment. Ethereum went to the moon. Now, Ripple was number one. Excuse me, Ripple XRP was number one. Ethereum was number two. And they turned around the SEC, and then they sued Ripple and also Brad Garlinghouse personally and said, the rules we applied to at BTC and ETH, they do not apply to XRP. XRP is a security, and that's what they've been locked in. The exact same thing going on here. So listen to what Brad says next. Remember, they were suing him personally and going back 9 years and said, you should have known 9 years ago when you got in this space that this was a security. My goodness, right? Watch.
Most valuable digital asset ahead of ETH. And then around 2018 was a kind of a famous, now infamous speech that kind of anointed ETH
of the corporation finance.
And so look, I think increasingly as the summary judgment filings were made public, people realized that maybe the SEC really is overreaching. They really aren't following a kind of faithful allegiance to the law. That's a quote from the judge in this case. And so I think people are realizing that,
the judge said that it might be, they might not be, right?
No, but the judge said is one, the SEC is being hypocritical.
Yes.
And two, they said that they were not following a faithful allegiance to the law in pursuit of an outcome. And I think that's what we have.
Wow. Does that remind you of another 3-letter agency or several in the United States that might not be faithful to the law? I'm going to get to this and take you over to this screen share. Remember, again, what was said, that Jamie Dimon said that cryptocurrency is a decentralized Ponzi scheme. He said that on Capitol Hill to the Senate Banking Committee. Okay, all right. Well, check out this throwback and what these guys are commentating on. Again, this awesome universe of open source information of these people pulling together kind of the threads of the story for XRP and investors in general around the world that have lost trillions, according to Jim Valley, trillions of dollars with their investment.
It was going to all go to zero, constantly trying to scare everyone out of this market, and they were buying during that time. Don't take my word for it.
Egregious. So on September 12th, Jamie Dimon says Bitcoin is a fraud. He says he'll fire any one of his traders buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin drops 24%. When Jamie Dimon speaks, people listen. So that weekend, we found out that the largest buyer of a Bitcoin fund that's in Europe that buys physical Bitcoin, right? The largest buyer was Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan. And that's not illegal.
Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan Chase, for which Jamie Dimon is the CEO of, is one of the largest buyers. Interesting, right?
He says it's a fraud. He says he's buying anyone that buys it. Yes.
And at the same time, his company is buying.
His company is buying it. It's just, I mean, so unethical, right?
Okay, there's another clip.
Right? We've seen it time and time again. I've been around for the time where we went from paper currency to debit cards. Oh my gosh. And now paper currency is worthless. And the debit cards, they want to roll into the central digital banking system. So things are really, really going crazy. Gregory Mannarino is somebody that I listened to quite a bit. Remember, I was fortunate to have went to the public indoctrination camp known as Wilfrid Laurier University in Canada, and I was accepted there for an honors economics degree with a minors in American political science. I did not graduate and get that honors. Let me just tell you, folks, be right up front. But I did go through the whole economics rigmarole, and basically it comes down to supply and demand. Pretty simple, we all understand. If 5 people are starving and they're malnourished and they need water, and there's 1 liter of water, the person in a capitalist, right, will give that 1 liter of water to the highest bidder. So you got 1 seller, 1 liter, and whoever's got the most amount of money, they win. That's supply and that's demand. And they can pretty much claim any price, otherwise people are going to die. That's the most extreme example, of course. That's the example here. You're all very smart to understand it. Well, check out what Greg is saying. And I watched Ray Dalio come out, and I have certain feelings about Ray. However, he's coming out finally and saying, oh yeah, the things are really bad. Here's what Greg says as a collection of it, shaking his head just, wow, a few hours ago in his update.
Now, with that said, before we touch back here on the market just real quick, there's a lot of multi-billionaire investors crawling out of the woodwork as of late, trying to explain that a disaster is coming. A disaster is coming. One of these people is Carl Icahn. And there's a few others here too. Ray Dalio explaining that the worst is yet to come with regard to surging inflation, with regard to a cratering economy. So again, look, don't listen to Greg Mannarino. Listen to, multi-billionaire investors who I think have a little bit more inside information than I do, okay? I talk to everybody. I hear what people are saying, but these guys here, maybe they're a little more connected than most of us are here. We're getting the truth yesterday, which was kind of a little bit shocking to me, out of the mouth, the pie hole, out of public enemy number freaking 1, that they're going to continue to do what they're doing, which is not making any difference whatsoever with surging inflation. It's not working. And, listen, yesterday when they had the dog shit Q&A, not one person, other than thank you, sir, for taking my question. Thank you, sir, for taking my question.
He's kind of wound up.
No one said, hey, why is Mr. Yellowstein that the Federal Reserve, has overshot its inflation target by exponents? The economy is suffering. What you're doing.
Well, okay, we sovereigns have a pretty good idea why, right? I mean, it's a manufactured collapse, just like it has been in the past. The Federal Reserve Bank is not part of the United States government, just like the IRS. It's its own for-profit corporation, along with a lot of other things that have 3 letters in it, and then some are part of the United States government. But it depends on what act you're reading, whether it's the Constitution, 1776, or the 1871 Act in the United States. And this is global, folks. So remember, pretty much the epicenter of the capitalist fiat banking system, which we are all still a part of at this moment, until we have the sovereign freedom everywhere, health, your body, mind, and soul, and then the wealth as well in the finances that allows you to take things and barter and trade and buy food for your family and turn around and very well prosper. Until we get to that point in time, we still have to understand the system. Now, here's the thing. I didn't need to multi-billionaires to go, oh my gosh, it's finally collapsing. I mean, we've been ringing the bell for a long time. I mean, Dr. Kirk Elliott, I'm going to share with you his update here in a moment for this week. I mean, he's a 2-time sovereign PhD economist. He shuns Wall Street. He is one of those guys that said, screw you. And we can see from, like I stated before, in my background as real estate investment, when I have my companies, you can look at the residential mortgage-backed and commercial mortgage-backed securities, and all the signs are there. And then you can also see who are the biggest debt buyers and what are the defaults. That's the consumer side. Those are the signs. You can look at that in every recession, going back right to the time when mortgages were created. Remember, the word mortgage are two French words, which literally translate in English to death pledge, mortgage. Remember, the word government, Latin terms, means governus mentis, right? Governus is to control. That's the translation from Latin to English. The word mentis is mind. So governus mentis, to control, mortgage, death pledge. You all seeing where this is going right now? Exactly, right? All right, so let me take you right now to the housing crisis, since we're already talking about it. And basically all you need to know is your verifiable proof, because everybody wants verifiable proof. You know, many people don't like to do the research for themselves. And it's also beneficial. You know, we can put this out there for those people who are living busy lives now, because we saw last week, the American family right now is at a net savings, negative savings. So they, just by working, they are losing negative 3% off of their wages. 24% of Americans are out of work, unemployed. And you have over 25% inflation by May of this year, as Dr. Elliott has shared right here on this show, and now forecasting it to be over 49% inflation just this year in the United States, right? It's off the hook. So last week we shared 150% increase in foreclosures in the United States, with the Fed hiking interest rates nearly 0.75%, almost a full point, which I think they kind of did that so that people, because of the election year coming up, right, in November, they didn't go for the full 1 point increase in the United States, because it would have been the biggest increase in 40 years. But everybody can stomach a 0.75, even though it sends things spiraling, right? Well, in addition to that, Mortgage Bankers Association keeps reporting, 8 straight months of declining mortgage applications. And we already know that. Matter of fact, Powell in the Fed yesterday, remember, this was created, The Creature from Jekyll Island. You can read that book, I think all 400 or 700 pages of it. I did that back in 2006. This is where the Federal Reserve Bank was created, by those families, right? The Rockefellers, the Morgans, John Pierpont Morgans. You can go take a look at that and see what families created the banking system. Pretty close after that ship called the Titanic crashed in 1913. We got 4 agencies in the United States with 3 letters to their names. Interesting, right? So here we are. Powell warns a correction in a once red-hot housing market. See, they allow this stuff to be eked out to the public, but all the signs have been there for years, including, obviously, the constant collusion to drive down the price of precious metals, of gold and silver, for years. And whenever they get caught with their hands in the cookie jar, they pay just a little bit of a fine and off they go. Now, speaking of what you could see for years, you're able to tell, again, this was all up in front of us, and they like to kind of just eke it out. This is an article from June 7, 2021. So just over a year ago. It says Deutsche Bank on CNBC, right? One of the great mouthpieces of BlackRock. Deutsche Bank warns a global time bomb coming due to rising inflation. Well, we already know about that. Could it be the minister in German parliament was speaking last week in that video, who said September 24th is a day people remember? So a lot of people have been both on the economic side and in the spiritual community and the sovereigns sitting here, well, could this potentially be because of what's on the debt sheet of big guys like Deutsche Bank, and all of the chips being called, including on the short positions of $32 trillion and more in the precious metals market, right? In COMEX. Remember, COMEX controls the price of gold and silver. So they really don't want it to rise because of their short positions when everybody else is long. Well, we know that that's about to come to an end. We all see that with the RICO case, and hopefully we've got a real good justice folks on the side of light, not darkness, to fix that, because we're seeing a massive explosion in purchasing power of gold and silver. So here is Michael Jacob. Very fortunate to have been on his show twice. He's had me on. He is sharing his intuitive insights. Okay, for those of you who don't know, this is former Navy SEAL Team 6, one of the closer of the original members of DevGru SEAL Team 6, 24 years in the Navy SEAL teams, and then he did 11 years in the CIA, and now he is, with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, just an amazing hero for humanity, as well as his family running the show. Here is his read on what this means.
Son, I think we might be going to a new standard, so I would be cautious about having a lot of funds in the banks. That's just that's my feel too. So I'm going to make sure that I don't have a lot of funds in the bank. Because we've seen all around the world that banks are seizing depositors' money, especially in like Beirut, where people were literally going in and holding up the bank to get their own money out. So it's just pretty. It's and we've seen the same thing in China. It's a possibility. Now Juan told me that the 24th was the Deutsche Bank is basically probably going to go insolvent. So that's they tell you that too. So that could be the trigger that the Germans are concerned about. The thing that you will always remember, because the Nazis basically started the world banking system as we know it right now. Hitler, he had his own banker, and basically the world banking system right now is from that time frame. So if that is the case, it starts in Germany. That would be karmically perfect, because it would probably set off a chain reaction where it would just shut down the banks around the world.
Pretty interesting, right? And speaking of that, we've already covered off, and if you're brand new here, March 22nd of this year, they unplugged the country of Russia from the SWIFT banking system. So Russia went, okay, well, we've been the biggest buyer of gold bullion since 2015 and have continued to do it. We're just going to go ahead and start our own banking system. That's in place now. They're about to have the Moscow exchange. So instead of COMEX, which is driving down the prices because COMEX, is partially run by folks from HSBC and all these other banks. You can look this stuff up. That's why you have a racketeering and organized crime case against these desks, the gold and the precious metals desks of all of these banks and COMEX, for keeping the prices down now. I'm going to share with you what massive amount of money has been leaving the stock markets, because the flight to safety, whenever you have massive inflation, we're beyond hyperinflation or superinflation. We are in a global depression based on the economic indicators that you can go back to for over a century. We're in a global depression. So everybody flees the stock market and they go to precious metals, something tangible. We know real estate being tangible is not a good thing right now. You stand on the sidelines because those prices will continue to go down and fall before they bottom out, because people are going to gold and silver. So check this out from Dr. Elliott on his update just this morning on the massive amount that has been taking place here.
And he dug
All right, here he goes, Dr. Kirk.
Some of the data surrounding the available physical supply of gold and silver. So basically what's happening is there's a repatriation and allocation into metals right now in a way that we've never seen before, really, in the history of our country. So last week, in one day, 41% of the physical gold kilobar supply was that's at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange were drained in one day. 41% of all the kilo.
Do you think that there are people who are billionaires and 100 millionaires, heck, maybe even trillionaires, that are trying to get their hands on precious metals right now? Keep it in mind, listen to what Dr. Elliott has to say about the gold and the silver supply shrinking. And this is just since last week. This is 7 days, the past 7 days. Here we go.
Our supply of gold was drained. That's about 175 million troy ounces in a day. So those aren't the 400 ounce good delivery bars of the.
And the average price of that gold is around almost $1,800 a bar, right? Or excuse me, $1,800 an ounce, not a bar. $1,800 an ounce. And that was drained 41% in 1 day. Somebody or a couple people are scooping up a lot of precious metals because they see the massive collapse is at our door. Well, it's already happened. It's just about to hit the doorsteps in a way like a fury of a hurricane we have not yet seen. This is what we've been telling everybody to prepare for.
100 ounce ones that sovereigns buy, that nations buy. These are private wealth banks. These are family foundations. These are the ultra wealthy and private investors, right? So what are they seeing that they think is coming down the pike, right? In addition to all of the sovereigns that they're allocating into gold, getting out of paper, getting out of currency, and reallocating into physical metals. This is what's happening right now in a way that we've never seen before. So let's look at the COMEX 50-day moving average, right? So I've got some numbers here I just need to look at. So the 50-day moving average is 131,293 ounces per day of gold are leaving. That's $233 million a day are being drained from the COMEX vault.
Huge, folks.
So now let's look at silver, right? Silver, there's, let's see, there's been 100 million ounces of silver drawn out of SLV in just the last month alone by commercial banks and so forth. So people are starting to take physical supply. As we've talked about over the last year, there's going to be a rush for quality, right? There's going to be an elimination as, short contracts come due, things happen, and people start allocating into physical silver, getting out of toxic paper, locking in their positions in equities, which are on their way down and poised for still significant correction moving forward. Actually, as you've heard me in the last few weeks, collapse in the equities market, in the bond markets, and now we're starting to see that in real estate as well. But there's 100 million ounces drawn out of SLV in the last month. There's only 55 million ounces left in the registered category. So what does that mean at the current drawdown rate of metals leaving, silver leaving the COMEX vaults? That's 5 months of supply left in the registered category in the COMEX vaults.
All right, we're just going to leave this one right here. 5 months of that silver left in those vaults. And you've been hearing from him how much, I've had him on the show constantly going through what is happening and what is about to come. And we also see in the cryptocurrency space, those digital assets that are backed by precious metals will very much, we all know, because we feel it intuitively, we see it, we read the reports, we feel that those are the ones, unlike Bitcoin, which are going to shepherd this new financial system forward for us over the next few years. And we're breaking free. We're completely free of the fiat Babylonian money system, right? And you're seeing not only the dam starting to break, you're seeing the cracks in the foundation everywhere at every level, both from investigations, both from the information that has been pouring out online in the whistleblowers, and obviously in the markets and in your own portfolio, if you still have any money in the stock market, which I'm blown away that there are people who still feel they can hold on and it will come back. And Dr. Elliott just a few weeks ago here on our show said, it's kind of like we're looking at about a 25-year correction. Harry Dent even said that with Boom Bust and Nacko on the show 2 weeks ago with Rich Dad Poor Dad. He said in the Great Depression, it took 25 years to bounce back to normal, to even out after the Great Depression in the 30s. This is more historic than that. So for those who are just holding on to hope and a prayer, God bless you. But you see the information. If you haven't done anything, go check it out. Now, you're going to hear from Dr. Elliott. I'll give you his phone number. You can literally go right to his website and you can book a free consultation with him. Here is that website. Go to kirkelliottphd.com/soul. And right here at the bottom of the page, you can just fill out your form and have a conversation anywhere in the world. And you can set it up with this team. Now, here's the thing. I was just on with one of his team members last week, and she was saying that they literally cannot keep up with the influx of calls to get back in a timely manner, like 24 hours, 48 hours, right? So you fill out the form that's here on this page, kirkelliottphd.com/soul. You can speak to them about getting actual real physical silver bullion, not the ETFs and the index funds, which are under deep investigation now because they're reselling it. And if you have a sale off of everybody's paper in those funds, they can't fulfill the orders because the silver is no longer in the depository. They might have already resold what you bought because of that paper. So we're talking about real physical silver. They can take you through the entire process, and you can go and check them out. I mean, it is a nightmare what is going on right now. And speaking of a nightmare, this is going to leave this last one right here with regards to Bitcoin. And with Bitcoin, holy smokes, this is everybody yelling and shouting it's the safe haven, the cryptocurrency, what's about to come. And even Warren Buffett, talking out of both sides of his mouth, just a few months ago said he expects Bitcoin could go to $1 million. Now here it is. He was just on, or you heard Brad from Ripple, the CEO, state that, he's got some arrows in his back from Warren Buffett, who said that no way with these cryptocurrencies. Well, guess what? Buffett had said, yeah, this is going to go to $1 million. Okay, well, yeah, maybe if it's still around. Listen to what he says here.
So, as you try vainly to get that picture out of your head, consider too the fact that a lot of institutional short positions have been opened for BTC according to data from the CFTC. While for those who prefer to trust to technical analysis, there ain't much comfort there either, I'm afraid. In short then, whether you're in stocks, crypto, or indeed pretty much anything else, this winter is going to suck. Soaring interest rates, stubbornly high inflation, a continuing war in Ukraine, further global unrest, energy bills so high we'll all have to do the badger dance to stay away and get ready to spend a considerable amount of time under it.
I love the cheeky British humor. And growing up in Canada, we'd be able to get the Benny Hills and the Fawlty Towers and the Monty Pythons of the world coming in. It was absolutely wonderful, to have that. But it's also understated, right? With that type of humor. I mean, here are some of the things. You've got inflation the highest that you've ever seen ever, based on core CPI before it was changed by Clinton in his presidency, and they rewrote the definition. Lots of definition rewrites going on, and it's literally a ticking time bomb before the house of cards comes crashing down here, right? So, folks, you have retirement savings. I totally feel that your Monday, there's an assault on your savings, that it is at serious risk. So, if you're in the States, there is that potential you could touch base with our friends at the Gold Company. They're AAA rated, 1,000 5-star reviews, and there's very real potential where you could tap into, and I don't know how much longer they'll be able to provide this offer, but up to $10,000 or more in free silver. You go to buddhalovesgold.com. They've got all the information there on a Precious Metals IRA kit with real bullion, physical bullion, none of this index funds, ETFs, Babylonian money system, abracadabra, magic stuff. We're talking about real physical bullion. So that's buddhalovesgold.com. Check that out. And again, if you're anywhere outside the States, and even if you don't have, upwards of 50,000 or more in savings in the United States, you contact Dr. Elliott's office, set up that call, pay attention to when you have that call on that time, because they're so busy. And you've just heard, he's reading the data that there's only 55 million ounces of silver left. Supply, demand. I gave you the extreme, but this is the financial extreme. I gave you the one on the health, those 5 people coming in. You know, they're starving, they're malnourished, they're dehydrated, and there's only 1 liter of water for sale, and goes the highest bidder, right? Supply and demand. Well, this is the kind of that happening right now in the global markets. And while people are talking about maybe we're going to have the reset, maybe we'll have quantum financial system come in, you know, that's the key thing here, maybe, right? Or potentially. Is it going to happen? I feel it's going to happen, but we haven't seen anything happen yet. And you got to live in the here and the now, not in the tomorrow, right? You can visualize a greater tomorrow. That's key. Keep your vibrations high, but you have to also deal with the today, right? Whether it's brushing your teeth or making sure that you're able to provide for yourself, your family, and protect yourself from this onslaught, which is going on here. So kirkelliottphd.com/soul. And also go to buddhalovesgold.com if you're an American and you've got, you know, over $50,000 in savings. You could literally get up to $10,000 in free silver. Pretty amazing. You know, I would know everybody else in the world thinks that's an absolute no-brainer to understand what you could do if you had that gold IRA or TSP or 401k, that kind of kit in there. You feel so protected. And by the way, this is why when the RICO case is decided on the precious metals suppression, this is why people feel the real true value, because you have 4,000 years gold has been used as a store of value, and silver as well, right? They feel that gold can be $10,000 per ounce minimum. And this is why other people like HSBC CEO came out over a month ago, Dr. Elliott shared on our program here, and literally stated that they see the price of silver going to $100 per ounce from where it is right now, 19 bucks. That's a 5 times jump. And that's literally direct quote from HSBC CEO on physical silver and bullion. And that's what you want, not that index stuff, not that ETF stuff. That's all corrupted, right? Stuff that you can see, touch, and feel, that's your own. It can even be shipped to your home, some of it, and having that on as the supply. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, for tuning in. Wishing you a great rest of your day. Holy smokes. And I'll just also leave this here. If you have a loved one who is not really certain of the economic uncertainty in terms of what's going on right now, well, let me just share with you this, what we have in the markets at this particular moment, because it's very important you understand and hear this, because it's not being shared publicly. We are at record bankruptcies in the USA. Victoria's Secret declared bankruptcy. Zara closed 1,200 stores. La Chapelle withdrew 4,391 stores. Chanel is discontinued. That's right. Chanel is discontinued. Hermes is discontinued. You know those silk scarves that they sell for $400, right? $400 for silk scarf. Hermes is discontinued. Patek Philippe discontinued production of their luxury watches. These are watches that are $25,000 to $250,000. Rolex discontinued production. The world's luxury industry has crumpled. Nike has a total of $23 billion in US dollars preparing for the second stage of layoffs. Nike. Gold's Gym filed for bankruptcy. The founder of Airbnb just recently said because of the pandemic, 12 years of their efforts in growing the company were destroyed in 6 weeks. Even Starbucks has announced to permanently close 400 stores. WeWork is no longer a great spot either. That's that outsourced working space. Nissan may close down everything in the United States. And the biggest car rental company, Hertz, filed for bankruptcy. Now, Hertz owns Thrifty and Dollar. The biggest trucking company, Comcar, filed for bankruptcy. They have 4,000 trucks. The oldest retail company in the United States, Jcpenney, has filed for bankruptcy, and it's to be acquired by Amazon for pennies. And the biggest investor in the world, as we may or may not know, and this is at least how it's been reported, I don't believe it he is, but they say he is, Warren Buffett. He lost $50 billion in worth in the last 2 months. And by the way, Here's point number 19. The biggest investment company in the world, BlackRock, is signaling disaster in the world economy, and they manage over $7 trillion in assets. The biggest mall in America, the Mall of America, they stopped paying their mortgage payments. They said, screw you. This is it. It's done. And United Arab Emirates, the most supposedly reputable airline in the world, is laying off 30% of its employees. The US Treasury is printing trillions to try to keep the economy on life support. And the estimated number of retail stores closing from 2020 was between 12 to 15,000. Not all of those numbers are in yet. All right. And by the way, this data is current as of last week. So other stuff could happen in the last 7 days. All right. Let me just also share with you the big retailers who've announced closing. J.Crew, Gap, Victoria's Secret, Bath and Body Works, Forever 21, Sears, Walgreens, GameStop, Pier 1 Imports, Nordstrom, Papyrus, Chico's, Destination Maternity, Modell's, AC Moore, Macy's, Bose, you know the sound? Bose, they make those speakers, Art Van Furniture, Olympia Sports, Kmart. So luxury side and then the cheap side, specialty, cafe and bakery, and there's many, many more. Unemployment claims in the United States were reported to reach an all-time high of 38 million. So that brings unemployment to over 25% out of a workforce of 160 million. That means close to 40 million in the workforce in the United States alone are jobless with no income. Consumer demand is falling drastically and the economy will go into a free fall. That is just the United States. So if you have 50 grand or more in savings, go to buddhalovesgold.com right now. Literally may not have silver or gold to buy here in the next few months. Literally, as you heard from Dr. Elliott. If you're outside the States or you have less than 50,000, then you can absolutely contact Dr. Elliott's office, set up that scheduled call, make sure you don't miss it, have your loved one on there. If you have a joint IRA or account or however that works, or you have joint savings, again, you can do this from anywhere in the world and buy actual physical silver and bullion. Dr. Elliott advises sovereign billionaires, millionaires, and business owners all the way down to grandmothers with $300 in their bank account to help them out. Because we all see the writing on the wall. The economy is going to collapse. And then finally, you're going to see the suppression come off of silver, gold, and like we're seeing with Ripple XRP, that suppression, that lawsuit being over. And James Valley said there's roughly $9 trillion owned to XRP cryptocurrency investors who might have been bought around 30, 35 cents. And they've lost for years, even in the last few months. Now they're up to 48. I'm Brad Wozniak. Thank you very much for watching. Again, I am not and do not ever want to be a financial investment advisor or an investment advisor. These are just the opinions of a sovereign soul for entertainment purposes only, bringing you the data and the facts as I see them, collect them, and share them with you. Cheers, everybody. Trust that is helpful. Have a blessed day and tune in for our next show. Follow us on Rumble, YouTube, BitChute, podcast platforms everywhere. In addition to that, please like, share, subscribe, and enable notifications for our next update. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9 mil, let us know.